Hey, brothers and sisters, thanks for joining. Hey, so recently I've been doing a lot of stuff about free speech in the UK, and I came across this story on Fox Business. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I have watched the beginning of it. And Big Brother is watching. The graphic just pulled me in. The UK creates 1984 like police unit to monitor social media posts. I don't know what this is doing on Fox Business in the US, but it is. So I just find it interesting that media in the US is starting to pick up on free speech issues in the in the UK, and that's likely because Trump and Vance have been talking about it. Because in general, Americans don't really care much about the UK, to be honest. They don't even think about the UK much. Most Americans don't think much beyond their own state, let alone all the way over to the UK. But let's watch this. Let's see, what kind of point they're trying to make here.
And he wants its Ministry of Truth back. The UK has created an elite police unit known as the National Internet Intelligence Investigations Team, dedicated to monitoring anti-migrant social media posts. Leaders claim its purpose is to detect early signs of potential unrest.
Yeah, it sounds exactly like Big Brother. Yeah, so it's scary how Orwell foretold the future. I really loved all of his books. Like Animal Farm is a classic. If you ever want to know about goings on in Russia, Animal Farm is a great book to read. And 1984 is a classic that seems to be coming true. So it seems like Orwell was an oracle and a seer. Didn't turn out well for Cassandra, so I don't think it turned out well for Orwell either. But let's go on. Let's see what else.
Unrest like this protest and counter-protest had erupted after a 38-year-old asylum-seeking migrant was charged with sexual assault for attempting to kiss a 14-year-old girl.
Despite the surveillance, UK's prime minister insists he still believes in free speech.
Oh, they're going to have to play this clip. I know, because he says, Starmer is kind of funny. Anytime you say anything about free speech, he has the exact same recording drilled into his brain. He says the exact same thing every single time. Let's watch it.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time here, so we're very proud about that. We protect it.
We've had free speech for a very long time, and we're very proud of that. He says those are the words he says every single time. It's funny because every time he does it, it's exactly the same. But it's not true. It's a lie. But I guess if you're Starmer, he believes if you keep saying it enough, it becomes the truth. Isn't that what the Ministry of Truth did in 1984?
Well, with us now to react is Public News founder Michael Shellenberger. Michael, it is true that the United Kingdom and the West has a fairly robust tradition, longstanding when it comes to free speech, but I'm not so sure that's true anymore. I mean, there's story after story about people being thrown behind bars in the UK, even for tweets that they have deleted, with longer prison sentences than people who've committed actual physical violent crimes.
Yeah, that's actually the problem. It's the two-tier policing. If the laws were consistently applied to everyone, people wouldn't be getting as upset. But there is this perception that certain groups or certain topics in the UK are being policed differently. And so that's really the big problem here. So let's see what this guy's going to say.
Yeah, that's right, Guy. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible story. I mean, there's a woman that's in prison for 31 months, which is 4 months longer than a child rapist is in prison. And what all she did was have a tweet up for 4 hours that she ended up taking down. This is a sweeping crackdown on free speech in Great Britain that we have not seen anything like in maybe hundreds of years. I mean, it's really astonishing. It's happening on multiple levels. Keep in mind, they were already arresting 30 people a day for wrong speech in Britain before this. Now they have a special police task force to constantly monitor social media, including X, formerly Twitter, and they can stop content based on age verification, so they can stop content saying, oh, this is harmful to mental health. And then X recently, just a few days ago, did block content on the basis of the British order to be able to identify if people were old enough to see it. So the other thing you mentioned there was the Islamophobia. They're not going to allow people to criticize mass migration. They're going to call it Islamophobia and a hate crime and prevent it. So this is George Orwell. I mean, George Orwell perfectly predicted this in 1984 when he wrote his book in the mid-40s.
Yeah, and so he mentioned the woman who got 31 months. That would be Lucy Conley. She had just got out a day or two ago, and she is saying she was a political prisoner, and Keir Starmer put his thumb on the scale to help get her a long sentence. And again, the hypocrisy is what is really driving people to get upset about this. Lucy Conley got 31 months. Many other people for violent crimes, not just sending mean tweets, but actual physically violent crimes, have gotten less time than her, and many of them have gotten suspended sentences, so no jail time. And that's what's bugging people. And in general, these people are migrants or people of color, and the hate speech laws under the public Section 5 of public order and some of the other things are so vague that the police can nick you for pretty much saying anything and then say it was racially motivated. There was a man this week arrested for saying, I love bacon, or we love bacon, something to that effect. He did that out in front of a mosque they were building, and the police nicked him right away for that. And that speech might have been offensive to Muslims, but being offensive should not be a crime. It's crazy. I believe offensive speech is not actually a crime in the UK. But what you do is you tie it in and say, oh, but it's to incite racial hatred or something like that. And then boom, now it becomes racial. But it actually isn't racial because Muslims are not a race. Anybody can be a Muslim. And so this is the kind of thing that's annoying people. It's actually just speech the government doesn't like, because they don't want you criticizing their migrant policies. That's really what it is. And people have had enough. That's why we're seeing the whole Raise the Colors movement, and flags are springing up everywhere. And people are saying that that's racist. No, your own flag in your own country is not racist. It's patriotic. People are tired of seeing other people's flags. People are tired of being treated as second-class citizens in their own country, and it seems like migrants are getting preferential treatment. And it may or may not be true, but that's the perception that people have, and people don't like it. All right, so let's see what else this guy's got to say. But yeah, George Orwell predicted all of this.
I was just in Europe at a conference and talking to a number of the people there. I mean, they are married to this idea that you have to monitor the internet, that you shouldn't be able to say certain basic things, including posting memes or things that are counter to what they believe politically in terms of the political party that's in charge. It's not just the UK, it's also the EU. They have this new Digital Services Act, which is complicated trade between the United States and the European Union. And even the deal that the president just got, it's it's an issue that has not been satisfied according to the administration. So I don't see this going in a direction that's going to get better despite the pressure. I mean, the UK and the EU are really dedicated to this idea of putting people in prison for saying the wrong thing or thinking the wrong thing.
Yeah, Brazil too is big on this. And it is kind of funny because this is the same kind of thing that communist governments did during the Cold War, and I believe Russia still does it today. You can't, you can't say the wrong thing because that the government doesn't like. Because in Russia they'll put you in jail, or they might toss you out a window. or I guess they could send you to Ukraine now. The West has kind of lost its way on free speech for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Europe's crackdown is maybe the worst in the world, but I mean, it's happening everywhere, and it's actually, unfortunately, accelerated since Trump was elected. So it's the EU, it's Britain, it's Ireland wants to read your your private text messages. Canada, Brazil. The strategy here is to make it so that the social media companies will basically censor this content for everybody. So I think a lot of Americans go, I don't really care what happens in some other country, Britain or Europe. They should care, because this is a strategy to basically encircle the United States and then have these social media companies pressure that they just censor this content for everybody. It's coming at a time when it's overtly political. The populist parties in Europe, just like Trump and the MAGA Republicans in the United States, are focused on mass migration. So they want to censor that content because it's been so politically powerful for these opposition leaders, including Germany, France, Romania. They're basically trying to prevent the opposition from competing at all, both through censorship and just keeping them off the ballot. I will just say one positive thing is that Trump today, yesterday he called out the Prime Minister in Britain. Today he's imposed serious tariffs on Brazil because of their censorship and because of their lawfare in preventing a presidential frontrunner, the last president, Bolsonaro, from competing in next year's elections.
Well, and also, just to add to that, I mean, Americans now have to worry about traveling to Europe and saying the wrong thing or posting the wrong thing or have posted the wrong thing many years ago. Being in these so-called Western countries, they could face arrests by the Europeans.
Theoretically,
or the Canadians.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's how 1984 works, is they want you to be afraid of what you're going to say. They want you to be afraid of saying something controversial and then not expressing it. That's one of the most damaging things to free speech here. America was founded on the idea we have to be free to speak our minds. Europe has taken us in an absolutely terrifying and totalitarian direction.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank God for the First Amendment here.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael Shellenberger, thank you very much.
Yeah, so I fully agree with the sentiments of this group, and it looks like this was all on Fox Business because Trump just put tariffs on Brazil, so that was the connection. But yeah, they're 100% right. People in Europe and the UK need to stop empowering politicians that take away your rights. It's that simple. And I know you guys all think America's bad and Trump is bad, but on this particular topic, the US is much freer than the UK or the EU, and you guys need to stop empowering politicians that are taking you down this totalitarian path. It's not good. For all the talk about Trump being a dictator and all that, Europe is in much worse shape right now. The UK is in much worse shape right now, from my view, when it comes to a rights kind of situation for citizens. So guys, stop the nonsense. All right, that's what I got. If you like it, give me a like and subscribe. If you don't like it, don't watch me. I'm trying to get the word out on stuff like this in case you haven't seen it. Thanks. Bye.